Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh,
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, a Disney movie where all sandwiches can talk. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. That sounds so cute, but also terrifying.
Yeah, I would totally watch it, though.
I would. I'd watch it with you. That's one horror movie I would see. So, Trevin, what is your dreadful dilemma this week, my dear?
My dreadful dilemma doesn't have to do with a sandwich, but with a lunch.
Okay.
So I was at work the other day. I always pack my lunch. I work a hybrid shift now, so I don't mind packing the lunch for a couple days. But my coworker was training me, and she was showing me that we have this service. It's called Foodsby, where it's like Uber Eats kind of, where your office can order from like 3 or 4 different places, and that person can bring one big group order to the floor.
Oh, wow.
You get one delivery from this place for this floor. You know, it just makes it more efficient for everybody.
Yeah.
So she was showing me how all that works, and she said, I left my lunch at home, so I'm going to be doing it today. She showed me, and she ordered this salad. It was a jalapeno chicken salad.
Spicy.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, that sounds really good. And that's too bad I brought my own lunch, and I'm cheap, so I'm not going to do anything. So the day goes on. We're going through some meetings, and in the middle of our meeting, they get a call. Something happened with their kid at school, so they had to run and go check on the kid.
Okay.
Everything ended up being okay. No major problem.
Thank goodness.
But because of that, they were gone for the rest of the day.
And what happened to that salad, my dude?
So I wasn't thinking about it, but I went ahead, heated up my lunch. I'm sitting there eating it, and my other coworker comes up and says, oh my gosh, so-and-so just called and said that they ordered the salad and now they can't get it and doesn't want it to go to waste. But it looks like you already have lunch. And I said, oh no, I'll still take that salad. So I took the salad and I just like, I'm going to take it home and have it for dinner. I'm going to show Emily this fancy ass salad. And I looked at it, and on the receipt too, she had also paid extra to get this chipotle aioli dressing thing with extra something on the side.
Wow.
It was like extra meat on the side or something.
Damn.
This is the best salad ever. I cannot wait to have it. My tummy's full now, but I'm going to have it later. And it was a Friday night, so I was even more excited to bring it home.
Totally.
And say, hey, Emily, for an appetizer, let's split this. That was lunchtime. I'm still training and learning all this stuff. Fast forward, Emily and I are on a walk together.
Uh-oh.
And it hits me.
Oh, no.
I go, not only did I forget the salad, but I left it right on my desk on Friday night, and I won't be back in the office till Tuesday. No. I'm upset that I can't try this badass Chipotle jalapeno chicken salad, and it's going to stink up the office, and people are going to get pissed at me.
Spicy remnants for days.
So now it is known as the cursed salad in this house, because not only did the salad cause a kid to get sent home from school from an emergency, but it also ruined my weekend.
Oh my God. I believe it. Have you ever watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Yeah, those are fun little movies.
Yeah. On one of the movies, they have what they call is the cheese touch. And there's a little slice of moldy cheese that's just remained on the play yard forever. And if anyone ever touches it, then they can pass it to someone else, and they're basically shunned from the whole school.
Oh, okay.
That's what that's reminding me of. That's a cursed piece of cheese. That's a cursed salad. You don't want the salad touch. Let's just say that.
That's sort of like the hot potato. That cursed salad is a real hot potato.
That is dreadful. You know what's funny is my dreadful dilemma also has to do with a bit of a disappointment from a food item.
No.
I know, heartbreaking. But this time I wasn't the one who was disappointed. It actually may have been you. I don't know if you were one of the people. To clarify, my dreadful dilemma, I recently had my daughter's birthday who turned 2. And she had a baby shark themed party, and it was so fun, so cute. I had the best time. I was kind of just in party world. I hope everyone else did.
My favorite part was the fact that Winnie had a breakdown because everybody sang happy birthday to her because she doesn't like to be the center of attention and to be sang at.
Yes. My girls are so opposite in that way. Like, Lila would have stood in for Winnie if that's what it took. Like,
and she would have posed the whole time.
Oh, yeah. She'd be like, happy birthday. You know,
To
she
me.
loves it. Yeah. But Winnie, she sobbed. She was like, make it stop.
Yeah, she was like shaking her head back and forth like you were tormenting her with love and singing and harmony.
Truly. But the part of the party that I'm referring to is that I made a themed snack, and it was blue Jello inside of a cup with a Swedish fish candy inside with whipped cream on top, right? And you saw me struggling to put the whipped cream on top because I didn't get the can. I got the tub.
Yes, I considered stepping in and helping, but I didn't.
I thought about helping you, and then I was like, no.
Guilty.
Actually, the treat itself was delicious. The only dreadful thing is that when I pulled it out, so many of our friends were there, and so many of them thought that they were Jello shots. And it turns out it was just a Jello snack for children.
Well, I mean, I will say it really did bring back memories so quickly. I don't know how many times in my life I've seen your face emerge from an open fridge holding a tray of Jello shots that were way too strong.
Oh, I know.
So it really triggered that thought, but no, it was not that at all.
I know. And what's
Boring
funny,
shit.
What's funny is that anytime I actually do deliver Jello shots, it's a mixed reaction from people usually. Some people are like, yeah, and some people are like, no, thank you. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
But this time it was like a resounding, what? These aren't Jello shots? It was almost like I had trained all of my friends for all these years
Oh, yeah.
to expect that they were Jello shots, and I really let you all down in a major way.
Sort of a psychological Pavlovian response.
It really was, and I didn't mean to do it.
Just think if those were actual Jello shots, though, the night would have ended so much better. I mean, everybody would have turned up for Winnie.
Didn't you have another kid's party right after? You could have left feeling a little tipsy.
Yeah, her nephew had a birthday just 3 hours after yours, so we couldn't stay that long at yours. But yeah, we had to go drive 30 minutes away and go celebrate again. I was ready for bed by the end of that night.
Dude, I was ready for bed at the end of our party, so I can't even imagine. So we haven't even said this yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to make it loud and clear for those who have not read the episode title. This is another all listeners episode.
Now that's what I call Listener Stories Volume 2.
Volume 2, it is now available for purchase anywhere you get your CDs. But seriously, this is very exciting. We've wanted to do an all listener episode for a while now. We've gotten a lot of great stories, so keep sending them in. I was so lucky that I found 2 of them that I will be sharing today, and Trevin has one as well. So we have 3 listener stories.
Whoop, whoop.
So get ready for that. But until then, we are going to be doing a round of top 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Top 5.
And I am going first this week. So, Trevin, as I told you, my top 5, I try to do ones that are like things you can guess, or I don't know, just little bullet points of different things. But this time I'm going to be covering a topic that just intrigues me, and it has to do with crime relations. And I just wanted to tell 5 facts about it. And I found an amazing, amazing, amazing article that had it all. It was from the website sciencing.com. And this is an article written by Carrie Perlis. Okay, so let me give you 5 facts about the polygraph,
Oh.
aka lie detector.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first fact. In the 19th century, the Italian criminologist Cesare Lombroso used the first lie detection instrument that measured a subject's pulse and blood pressure. In 1921, a student at Harvard named William M. Marston invented the modern polygraph. It was actually invented by multiple people. As time has gone, even still to this day, they are updating and adding new things to the polygraph, but technically it was an invention that is continuing to be built up by a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
Fact number 2. Lie detectors have been in existence in primitive form for a long time. Ancient Hindus determined whether a person was telling the truth by instructing him to spit out a mouthful of rice onto a leaf. A person who was telling the truth would be successful. One who was lying would get the rice stuck in his mouth. This process presumably depended on dryness of the mouth, which is a psychological factor associated with lying.
And smoking a lot of green. Well, that definitely seems like something that would be easy to game.
Right? I know. I was like, okay, I'm kind of loving that. If you don't have a polygraph test just lying around your house, which most of us don't, I guess just spit out some rice and see if your partner is stoned or lying, or both. Fact number 3, the most common functions that lie detectors measure are blood pressure, heart rate, rate of respiration, and sweat level. Did you know it did all of that?
I didn't, but remember when we talked about signs to catch a liar and I said perspiration?
Yes. You were so spot on.
Even though that
Apparently,
wasn't one of the ones that was in that one.
I know. But you make up for it here because the sweat test is from your thumb, I believe is what they said on there, or one of your fingers.
Ugh, I
Isn't
always
that
have
weird?
a sweaty thumb.
Do you?
That thing's just dripping. Okay, not really.
Okay, fact number 4. In 1988, the U.S. Congress passed the Federal Employee Polygraph Protection Act, which disallowed companies from requiring their employees to take a lie detector test. This law, however, does not affect government employees or contractors, including people who work in public schools, libraries, or prisons. That's crazy. I'm going to have to ask my dad, who was a teacher, if he's ever had to do a polygraph.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, you're working with kids, but I don't know. That seems like, okay, Miss Bixby, have you ever told a lie in your life? Can you just picture like the sweetest little school teacher?
We need to make sure that we can trust you before we let you teach art to the 3rd grade level.
And my last fact about the polygraph. Professional criminals can easily learn to slow their heart rates and breathing while lying.
Yes, and I cannot remember what movie it was. Maybe one of our listeners can tell me. There was a movie, it might have been one of those Ashley Judd crime movies, I cannot remember, but they had like a big thing where they talked about beating the box. I think one of the lines was just like, anything's the truth if you can believe it, or something like that, and just kind of tricking your body to respond to the lies you say. And,
Wow.
But yeah, beating the box. I remember they said that a lot in the movie, but I can't remember what it was. So if anybody knows what I'm talking about, let me know.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I guess that's a thing. I mean, they're not always treated as 100% reliable because people can lie still. But it's like, how do you prep for that? I guess you're just already a good liar and you're just perfecting it for a test.
Yeah, it's almost like training yourself not to have response to something.
Yeah.
Like if I were to ask a really weird personal question right now and you kind of have that jolt of like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of train yourself to just keep a cool as a cucumber complexion, you know?
Yeah, there's no way I could do that.
No, you react even without being loud. Your face can be pretty loud sometimes.
I'm the worst liar, okay? I've come to terms with that. So, Trevin,
Yes.
you got a top 5 for me?
I got a top 5 for you, and I'm actually doing it a little differently this week too. So recently I saw an article from the New York Post called Selfie-Related Deaths at Tourist Sites.
No.
So a little bit of their article says selfie-related injuries and deaths at tourist hotspots have become such a massive risk that they should be viewed as a public health problem. They've been doing more peer-reviewed studies, and they have concluded recently that I have found in other articles that people have been dying from more selfie-related deaths than sharks.
No way.
There is a newer study, but I can't find the numbers on it, so I'm going to actually work off of an older study.
Okay.
So for this study that took place from October 2011 to November 2017, they counted that the number of deaths related to selfies was 259, coming from 137 incidents. I just want to preface this. The reason why these numbers seem probably actually low is because they don't always know whether it was a selfie or if it was just general phone use, looking at your phone. It's hard to prove what's a selfie and what's not. So it's probably not the most perfect study.
Totally. And also, not everyone is going to call someone else out who just died. What are you going to do?
Right. So for 137 incidents that they can prove are actually selfie related.
Damn.
So I want to give you the top 5 most common selfie deaths from 2011 to 2017.
Okay.
I'm going to go by incident.
Okay.
So out of the 137 incidents, what do you think are the 5 most common ways to die taking a selfie?
Oh, Jesus. Maybe a selfie while driving should be on there.
Okay.
A selfie next to wild animals, maybe.
Okay.
A selfie up on a really tall building.
Okay.
That's really all I've got.
So you got 2 out of the 5.
Oh, okay.
Number 5 is firearm. People posing with guns.
No.
In
That's
ways.
awful. No.
That was 11. Number 4, electrocution at 13. That one I find to be a little tricky because I read some examples of ones, and sometimes it's like, oh, they're up in a high place and like they grabbed a electric cable to keep their balance or something.
Oh.
Stuff like that.
Oh, weird.
There's also ones where people will climb on top of a train and grab a cable.
Oh my gosh.
Number 3 is transport. Now that is people driving and stuff like that.
Or even on a bike, you could even hurt yourself.
Or even on a bike. That's 28.
Damn, yeah, that's a decent chunk.
Number 2 is drowning. And that is people who usually are taking pictures near a cliff or something and they fall into water.
Oh my God.
And it could be that they knocked themselves out and fell in or something. You know, it can happen many different ways. I was running through a list of all these different ones and I was like, oh my gosh, this is sad and terrible.
Or like even on a boat.
Or on a boat, yep.
When you first said drowning, I was like, what, are people taking a selfie while they're in a large body of water? But then I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah, actually, yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
And then number 1, which you did say, is falling.
Damn.
High points, anything that would make a really good picture. I mean, some of those pictures that I see make me so nervous to even look at.
Okay, this is the kind of shit that just reaffirms my fear because when Jordan and I went up to the top of the World War I Museum monument here in Kansas City, and we went up on that tiny little freaking tower, and it was the windiest day of all time, I was like, I'm going down. And I had just taken a selfie. So, I mean...
See?
I'm telling you guys, put your phones away and get off that building.
Yes. That was 41 deaths.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say the number. So that was 137 incidents. Now there's 259 deaths related.
Okay.
Which really sucks because that means other people's selfies cost other people's lives, which sucks.
Whoa.
If I was going to give you the top 5 as far as death counts, it actually would go 5 electrocution, 4 and 3 are tied together. That's fire and fall.
Okay.
2 is transportation, and then 1 is drowning.
Wow.
Which one of the ones I had read, a dude was flying like a small plane and trying to take a GoPro selfie, and he had like wrecked the plane.
Oh no.
And stuff like that. I thought that was kind of interesting how the incidents are, it seems like they're more of just like a one-on-one person, but the numbers do go up quite a bit more in other realms when other people are involved.
Wow, that is intense and so worrisome.
The article saying that it was a public health risk, that was at the end of November of last year, 2023. So yeah, I just thought, hey, maybe we should bring some attention to that. I see some pretty wild selfies out there. And I mean, I know going viral on Instagram's nice, but...
Dude, I remember when I first met my husband, the first picture he ever sent to me was a selfie of him dangling up on a really high building that he was painting for his job. He did have a harness on, you know, so it wasn't like he was just a tourist up on a cliff or anything, but still.
Yeah.
Be careful, people. I'm all about documenting the moment. Trust and believe I am, but there are times where it's just not worth it.
Yeah, and I have major fear of heights, so if I see anybody doing anything like that just to brag about it,
Yeah.
It makes me really nervous.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, you know what might ease your nerves a little bit, Trevin?
Gosh, I hope you're going to offer me something I can spend my money on.
I am! Ads!
Hey, creepy people. This is PNW Haunts and Homicides. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Cassie.
Together, we explore stories of the paranormal and true crime throughout the Pacific Northwest. For each episode, we do a tarot reading to help us gain some insight on the topic as we share the facts of the case and our interpretations. You can find our episodes featuring true stories from infamous cases such as the misdeeds of Boeing, as well as lesser-known true crime cases like the murders in Tunnel 13.
As well as our spooky stories from Pike Place and Raven's Manor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you'd like to listen. Have a creepy-ass day.
And we are back.
Welcome, welcome.
And I'm going to be going first. I have a listener story here. Secrets out.
Oh, gasp.
Gasp, I know. Before I tell the story, I did want to read a little bit of this email, just as a little bit of an introduction. So, this is the email that we received. Hello. I've only been listening to your show for a few weeks, but I'm already hooked. I felt it appropriate to go ahead and send in one of the few petty crimes I know of. Though it's short and with little info, I hope you still enjoy it. Thank you so much for keeping me entertained at work. Kourtney, she, her. Thank you so much, Kourtney. We will gladly keep you entertained any and every day that you're at work.
Oh, yeah.
And I just have to say, we have the best listeners, and these stories are just chef's kiss. So thank you so much for sending them in.
Amanda needed more information, and Amanda emailed Kourtney back, which I totally get. I don't check my regular emails ever either. And I remember, because I've seen Kourtney's messages pop up on our social medias before, that I thought, oh, why don't I just help Amanda? Because I remember this listener communicating with us once before. So I went and found her socials and grabbed her and said, hey, check your email. I don't want to spoil this for myself, but please. I don't know what she's asking, but you might want to check your emails.
Yes.
So we were able to get that done. But Kourtney, thanks for all the support and all the comments before for me to have remembered you.
Yes, that was really cool that you were able to do that. I never check my emails either, so that was really, really cool that you found her.
Yeah, if I didn't have this show, I wouldn't be looking at emails as much as I do.
Right. I did add in a few things here or there, but for the most part, for these listener stories, it's basically as told. If there are any big things, I have specified what I added at the end of each story. And with that, here we go. It was the summer of 2023 when inside a humble Madisonville, Kentucky Kroger's bakery, unspeakable acts had occurred. Fistfuls of sponge-like cakes were thrown to the ground, soaking up puddles of chocolate syrup. Sprinkles were intentionally poured out to spell out swear words on the cutting boards. Baking equipment was smashed, scratched, and left for trash. And although it couldn't be proven, a table covered in whipped cream appeared to have been sat on, leaving a fresh outline of butt cheeks behind. This is a story about how one petty criminal's mess led to many others' distress. The night before the destruction, inside the local bakery, Kourtney sat at home, reflecting on her upcoming birthday. She was about to turn 25 and was feeling both burnt out and unaccomplished due to her adult responsibilities. Yet she had planned a fun way to distract herself from all of that. It was the only thing Kourtney wanted to celebrate on her day of birth: a SpongeBob cake. Like many of us, Kourtney grew up watching episodes of the cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants right after school.
Are you ready, kids?
She loved the nostalgia of the yellow square sponge who lives in a pineapple under the sea, and had the perfect quote to go on her cake. It was one of SpongeBob's most popular references from the show, where he says,
Hey, Patrick, I thought of something funnier than 24. 25!
Kourtney gave her significant other a month's notice on her dream birthday cake, sparing no details.
Don't forget his little red tie.
He had been amused by her request, but agreed to get it ordered for her special day. Being the night before her birthday, Kourtney was almost too excited to sleep. She envisioned her cake, covered in ocean frosting, adorned with a sea sponge and iconic quote. Pineapples and Krabby Patties danced in Kourtney's mind until she fell into a blissful slumber. The next day, Kourtney's birthday had arrived. She had taken the day off work to sleep in and enjoy herself, resulting in her snoozing until noon. Kourtney stretched as she woke up, causing her boyfriend to enter with a cheerful,
"Happy birthday,"
before landing a peck directly on her lips.
Thank you!
Kourtney responded with delight, before quickly asking,
Did you get the cake yet?
At this question, her boyfriend's smile dipped into a frown. A glum look washed over his face, and his skin turned slightly green.
Come on, babe. You look like Squidward. Just tell me what's wrong.
Kourtney demanded as she sat straight up in bed. Her boyfriend gulped before delivering the bad news.
"I'm sorry I couldn't get you the cake you asked for."
Kourtney's initial excitement was immediately replaced with confusion and disappointment. Questions flew out of her mouth as soon as they came into her mind as she asked,
No cake? What happened? Did you forget to order it in time? Was the bakery unable to do it? Oh, where's the Krusty Krab when you need it?
Her partner gave Kourtney a moment to calm down, then assured her, saying,
"I ordered the cake weeks in advance. The bakery had it ready and waiting for me to come pick it up."
Kourtney was stunned.
What's the problem then?
She asked, more confused than ever.
"I'm glad you're sitting down for this, because what I'm about to tell you would knock SpongeBob's pants straight off."
In June 2023, an unnamed female disgruntled employee at the Madisonville, Kentucky Kroger's bakery left much more behind than just a messy kitchen. According to another Kroger employee who spoke to Kourtney's boyfriend on the phone, Kourtney's cake, along with countless others, had been destroyed during the former employee's meltdown. Not only that, but thousands of dollars worth of damage was done to the bakery and deli equipment. When Kourtney's boyfriend asked why they thought this had happened, the gossiping Kroger employee told them that the former employee had been fired for repeatedly not following rules about wearing a hairnet and continuing to put her fingers in the frosting. On a sweeter note, Kourtney's partner did end up getting her another cake and decorating it to be SpongeBob themed. He was also able to get a full refund on the original cake he ordered. Overall, Kourtney says she still had a good birthday. However, the experience still left a bad taste in her mouth. I'll end this story in Kourtney's own words, with her stating,
I can't help but hope that the next time that woman who destroyed a lot of people's cakes, including mine, has a cake, and it's as bitter as she had to have been, to destroy thousands of dollars of equipment and an anticipated SpongeBob cake.
Of all the cakes in the world, because that's a pretty specific and special cake, you know?
I know. I did want to say, the whole beginning, I made up all the details of the mess left in the kitchen. I just know it was destroyed. People's cakes were destroyed. Equipment was destroyed. I had fun with the whipped cream booty mark and all the things. That was just kind of fun.
Yeah, I may have also added butt stuff to enhance my story too. So...
We have a problem.
Or is that just a brand?
Or a brand. I also added in SpongeBob jokes to the dialogue, obviously. I don't think Kourtney was like, darling, you look like Squidward. But
maybe Kourtney is that big of a fan, though.
Maybe.
With a cake like that?
That's true. But everything else was pretty much exactly how she recollected it all. Oh, I did want to say this too. I did want more information on, like, was this like a news article somewhere?
Yeah.
Did the local Kroger be like, oh, thousands of dollars of damage due to disgruntled employee? But she was like, no, I never saw anything about it. I think they wanted to keep it tight-lipped.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, the only reason I know kind of more in detail what happened was because of the gossiping employee that wanted to tell her boyfriend.
Hell, I mean, I would probably do that too. It probably is kind of fun for your work day. You know, oh, I have to
Yeah.
deliver you bad news. I don't want you to get pissed at me. You want to hear some fucking tea?
No, seriously. I can't blame them. I love to gossip too. But to admit that somebody was touching the frosting and not wearing a hairnet in your bakery probably isn't the best look.
Oh, that's a
but
good point. Their boss probably would not like that.
Their boss wouldn't like it, but I can also understand where you're coming from. They're probably not the boss. They're obviously not the owner of this bakery. So they're like, don't be pissed at me. I'm having to call 100 people to tell them their cakes are ruined. Be pissed at this crazy broad.
Yeah. Okay, you just had a birthday party for Winnie.
Yeah.
Imagine you went to go pick up Winnie's cake and they're like, God, I'm sorry. We fired this person and they lost their shit and destroyed everything, destroyed every cake in sight, yours being one of them. Now, would you have loved that story at the expense of your daughter's cake? I think I would have.
I mean, it's kind of a good story. I mean, I loved her cake, but come on, we had cookies.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
But no, I loved the story. At first, I was like, am I a big enough SpongeBob fan to take this on? And I think I did an okay job at it. I'm not the biggest fan and the biggest watcher, but I definitely looked up what the characters looked like again and got a feel for some of the stuff. And it was fun to do.
It's funny now as an adult, SpongeBob is just a meme more than he's a TV show.
Right.
I used to watch him back when I was like 16 years old, and I love those early seasons.
Yeah.
They're done making new episodes, but I think the movies and everything are probably still just as funny. But I just don't see it on the day-to-day anymore because I don't have like little siblings who have those TV shows on. So now I just see it as memes of people trying to, you know, put their trauma into pictures of him.
You know what? Sponge it all away, SpongeBob. Just soak it right up from all of us, all our trauma. That was a perfect story for our show. Thanks again, Kourtney. And her birthday was in June, so it is coming up soon.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday. It's coming up soon for you. And I hope that this year is a little less messy.
And if you're still celebrating with SpongeBob, good on you.
Yeah, seriously. I wonder. I'm going to have to ask her. So, Trevin, you also have a listener story for us this week.
I do. And I only have one this week. I know last time we each did two. Mine is a little bit longer, and I was recently pretty busy with editing, so we just making it work. We get a triple feature, and you get double Amanda. How great is that?
I think it's totally fine, Trevin. I mean, you are naturally more of a longer storyteller, usually probably anyway, so
It's true.
you're doing the Lord's work over here, okay?
And it also helps that our listener that I am taking on today has a few more like deeper themes in her story. And that just resonated really well with the way that I like to put things in my stories.
Yes.
So this week I am covering a story sent in by a listener of ours named, well, actually her Instagram is Kitti Bear.
Oh, yes, that's how we know her and love her.
And yet every time we talk about her, it's always just Kitti Bear. I believe we read either it was a review of hers or a comment on an older post. But Kitti Bear's been around for a while, and I wanted to cover her story.
Yes, I'm so excited. We seriously love her. Every time I see her comments on our posts, I get happy.
So I will just give you the end of her email for what she said to us, and then I'm going to read her story.
Nice.
She said, thanks for reading, and thanks for continuing to entertain me on a weekly basis. I have a couple of missed episodes I need to catch up on, but listening to you both is always a delight. You guys break up the monotony of my week, and some fun stories that don't leave me filled with dread after. Parentheses, I really listen to way too much horror and true crime. I also love your banter at the start of each episode, and now you guys are including more and more bloopers. There are even more unexpected laughs when I think the episode is over. Thanks for being you, and stay awesome.
Aw, I love someone who loves the bloopers.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing that I like to hide in there.
I know, I love them. If you guys don't listen to the full episode and wait till the very, 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 very end, you're missing out. It's always a good little nugget back there, okay?
So without further ado, let's get into Kitti Bear's story.
Can't wait.
And here we go. In our day-to-day lives, we encounter a lot of unseen forces. From the shadowy dealings of government entities, to hidden fees when ordering concert tickets. Most of the time, We just exist. The vocal minority will write Facebook statuses in all caps about it.
Suck on that, Bezos.
Meanwhile, the rest of us go on with our heads down, feeling robbed and powerless. I will not be offering any relief from this. Instead, I want to bring your attention to the imperceptible powers that are not driven by greed or malice, influences inherited to our own being. The pain of existence, the yearning for love, and the constant battle with gravity always trying to bring us down. These are inconvenient truths, our hidden fees of life. Among all of the abstract and societal dynamics that plague us, there is one that has managed to escape the scrutiny of the public eye. Whether it be a foolish oversight from the generations before, or a complete overreaction by me, your sensational narrator, I think it's time I fill you in on the dangers of Kitti karma. I'm sure your first thoughts are, but Trevin, what's so scary about Kitti karma? Isn't Karma Taylor Swift's boyfriend? Wouldn't a Kitti version just be smaller and cuter? And to that, I would simply say, no. Although we all sleep tight, hoping for karma to eventually smother our enemies with a pillow, Kitti karma is a much different thing. While karma is an omniscient sense of universe justice, Kitti karma is the act of children taking that responsibility into their own hands. These are hands that are usually used for picking noses, eating dirt, and making some of the worst finger paintings I've ever seen.
Do better!
Children are very raw, undisciplined versions of adults. Selfishness is fundamental to their being. They lack empathy, and their emotions are heightened without any understanding of them. Karma is a virtue that even the most well-intentioned vigilantes fail to uphold. Do you really think a child can be trusted with such a responsibility? Beneath the surface of our lives as consumers, employees, and taxpayers lies the destruction made by these child crusaders. There are children who spit in a mean teacher's coffee mug, boys who leave lit dog shit bags on grumpy neighbors' porches, and even the time two versions of Lindsay Lohan conspired to get the divorced parents back together.
Parent trap joke, very current.
Each one ended in lives changed forever, and one woman even getting a lizard in her mouth. I'm not proud to admit this, but I dished out my own brand of Kitti karma during my youth. When I was 6 years old, I had an older and more troubled cousin who loved to be a bit of a bully. He would sneak cigarettes into the family farm and make me and my younger cousins line up against a large wooden panel for him to throw knives at. He never managed to stick the knife in the wall like he wanted, but looking back, I'm just thankful he never stuck the knife in any of us. My cousin was a regular old Sid from Toy Story, beating up on weaker things, but was deep down a very scared child. One day his edgy ass brought Mortal Kombat 3 to my grandparents' house. He played it in front of the cousins and I, never allowing a turn. We fought our own Mortal Kombat with the parents, begging them to seize control of the Super Nintendo.
It's not fair!
Until they eventually cracked. However, Sid had one last trick up his sleeve. "The video game is very violent," he wailed to the adults. "Playing a game where you rip people's flesh off isn't good for children of that age." It was a well-played move. Hell hath no fury like a Midwesterner's fear for violent video games. Although my family didn't see a violent 12-year-old playing it as a problem, they were quick to see his point when talking about me and my cousin. He got his way, keeping us from playing, but that didn't mean he had won. Being the cunning diplomat that I am, I fought for the right to at least play the Super Nintendo, even if it's not Mortal Kombat 3. Sid ran off pouting while we played Super Mario. Between that point and the hustle of them packing their stuff to go home, I grabbed his Mortal Kombat 3 cartridge and hid it where they'd never find it. The boy cried and cried, getting his parents and even my parents to look for it, to no avail. His parents eventually pried him away from the home, telling them that Grandma and Grandpa would find the game and give it back next time they see him. As soon as they were gone, guess who found the game and beat it before next week's family dinner? Booyah. That mini-story of my own Kitti karma act was inspired by the listener tale that I'm about to tell you. Sent in by one of our closest listeners, who goes by Kitti. I bring you their personal Kitti karma story, entitled The Birth of a Petty Criminal. A child experiencing a parental divorce is difficult and can present many forks in the road. Between custody battles, possibly moving homes, and all the internal emotions involved, there is an infinite number of colorful directions that these situations can go. But for third grader Kitti Bear, she experienced a whirlwind of change at the hands of her parents' dissolution. Kitti had a lot on her plate, even before the divorce, Being an ethnically Arab child adopted to a white family, there were a lot of internal questions and lessons that she would need to encounter during her development. But when Mama and Papa Bear made their divorce final, Kitti had a whole new set of circumstances to hurdle. The separation granted Mama Bear custody, leading her to take Kitti and her two brothers to Brooklyn, Ontario, a town that was in its own state of development. By this time, the tumultuous ways of divorcing adults had left its mark, resulting in its own tension between the different relationships in the family. Because of this, Mama wanted to bring forth positive change to her new family unit, and although she wasn't a practicing religious person, she chose to enroll the two youngest kids in the Catholic school. Like a farmer accidentally peeing on an electric fence, Kitti was shocked. Not only was she a new kid in a new school, but the Bear family had never even attended church before. She went from a diverse public school to the strict uniform ways of a private religious education. The curriculum she was accustomed to had been altered, trading in science and social studies for the most important required learning, Bible. This led to many questions from Kitti. It just didn't make any sense to her. Up until this point, her merit as a good student was based on grades, attendance, and being the line leader once a month. Now, the only thing that seemed to matter was whether she prayed and that her skirt was below her knees. She found herself asking why on a regular basis. Why can't I have meat at this time? Why does this cup of blood taste like wine? Why is Sesame Street considered satanic when all they're trying to do is teach me the letter G? All of these questions triggered very similar responses from the black and white clad sisters that lorded over her.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Each time that phrase escaped their devout lips, Kitti felt the shame of the church, as well as the students around her. They stared at her the same way she stared at them when they lined up to drink blood from the same dirty cup. Her questions appeared defiant in a community built on being the same, leading to exclusion from her peers. Already feeling estranged due to her beliefs and upbringing, there was another factor causing Kitti to feel like she didn't belong. This school was wider than a square dancing competition at a mayonnaise factory. Not only was the public school more diverse in beliefs, but there was also a wide variety of cultures and ethnicities among the children. Never before had the feelings of being different been so glaring. The subtle actions of the staff and students were drenched in connotations, sometimes saying the quiet part loud in the comfort of like-minded individuals.
Hey, what's it like not being exactly like me?
Kitti dodged stereotypical questions and kids wanting to touch her hair, like Neo from The Matrix, twisting and contorting to escape their damaging ways. But just like Keanu Reeves and his CG maneuvers from 1999, she would eventually run into a more powerful foe. Her Agent Smith, if you will, would turn out to be a young boy named Ethan. Like most arch-nemeses, Ethan shared a few similar circumstances to Kitti. Although not ethnically Arab, he was one of the very rare non-white kids, a population that did not exceed 10 throughout the entire school. Because of this, Kitti and Ethan were often paired for group projects, even being picked by the teachers to portray parents for a concert performance of The Eyes of a Child. But the constant association due to their darker complexion wasn't the main thing making this so unbearable. Ethan was a major dick. Coming from a broken home made Kitti an easy target from day one. To the children in her class, divorce was a character trait in movies or something to learn about in home economics. They had yet to experience anything of the sort, leading to teasing from the others. And the loudest of all these little assholes was Ethan. "Guess who has 2 thumbs and lives with both his parents?" Ethan would always announce in her presence, pointing his opposable digits towards his chest. Whether it was quiet prayer time or a friendly game of Bible bingo, Ethan always found a way to bring up Kitty's new home life. The rivalry continued, Ethan tormenting Kitti, and the nuns still placing the enemies together due to their skin tone. Pull my finger jokes, penis doodles, and mean notes were exchanged as Kitti pleaded for some time away from Ethan.
Please. You two are going to get married one day,
they would say, a sentiment often shared among the Catholic school staff. There was no help for Kitti. No one took her seriously, and she was only 9 years old. The school already had her pegged as a troubled divorce girl. Kicking Ethan's ass may prove a point to him, but it would also prove the nuns right for thinking she had a post-divorce attitude. If she was going to open a can of Kitti karma on Ethan, it would take craftiness and the keen intellect of a petty criminal. The day of the crime seemed like any ordinary day. The cafeteria served sloppy josephs. Sister Single asked everyone to pray for her dating life.
I think this guy's the one.
And Ethan was the same shitbird that he always was. It was art class, and everyone was working on their own construction paper 10 Commandments, until Ethan got an evil idea. How about I cut your hair with these scissors? He exclaimed, sticking out his tongue and making armpit fart noises.
You better not!
She said back, with a quiet yet angry tone. Ethan instead licked his hands and wiped cooties on her arm, dropping the scissors subject for a short period. As the art period went on, the subject of Kitti's hair kept resurfacing. She hated talking about it. Adults always told her it was beautiful, white kids kept wanting to play with it, and it took a lot of maintenance. So to have it as Ethan's new obsession was even more unnerving. His incessant pestering continued until things really escalated. You better run, because I'm really going to cut your hair, he said, eyes wide and mouth salivating. Without hesitation, Kitti jumped up from her seat and ran out of the classroom. Ethan gave chase to his prey, running with scissors. The two ran around the halls for a short bit before Ethan gave up, safely walking back to the classroom, scissors pointed down. Kitti watched her bully cautiously making his way to the class. He may have corrected his previous actions by respecting the blades he once ran with, but Ethan left himself in an even more fatal position. He turned his back on his enemy. Kitti felt the hair that she ran so hard to protect. The soft, dark curls were safe from Ethan's grubby fingers and dangerous scissors. But in that moment, she realized Ethan wasn't safe from her hair. Like a melting candle, Kitti's relieved expression dropped to the stone-cold stare of a killer. The gentle grasp she felt on her curls changed, squeezing down on the follicles. In a quick motion, she pulled, feeling the snap echo through her head. The pain came a bit delayed as she looked down at her hand. In her palm were a few curly hairs, shining from the hallway lights. She was surprised at how easy it was. There was no shame felt from the act, and ripping her hair out was not a difficult task. Making peace with the separation from her beautiful locks, she continued on. She pulled another out, and another, each hair getting added to the strand she held before. Quietly wincing in the Catholic halls, no one heard a word, but inside her head, she was laughing a diabolical laugh. After a short time, Kitti was finished. Her scalp pulsated from the memories of follicles long gone, as her hands held clumps of hair, the perfect size for a 9-year-old to cut with art scissors. With a believable bundle in tow, Kitti moved to the second part of her quest for Kitti Karma. Kitti laid the waterworks thick, stumbling down the halls, trying to see through the fish tanks in her eyes. A scene like this was sure to leave some ear witnesses from their respective classrooms, but the big stage was right back where it all began, the art room, where dozens of children's handmade commandments laid, unbeknownst of the sin heading their way. In one effortless push, Kitti sent the wooden classroom door flying into the opposite wall. The loud crash froze the students, as the only noise to follow was the hymns playing from Sister Sister's Google Home speaker.
Ethan chased me into the hallway and cut my hair,
she announced, causing a stir among her classmates. Sister Sister ran to Kitti's aid, inspecting the hair and coming to her conclusion. Yep, it's hair, she said in disappointment. At that moment, Sister Sister experienced something she had never felt before. Through her years as a servant to the Lord, all of God's challenges were approached with unwavering belief, even with the unfortunate circumstances of her nun name being the same as a 90s sitcom. But for the first time since donning her habit, Sister Sister lost faith. Not in the existence of her savior, but in the belief of a child.
Ethan, your soul now belongs to the devil. It will take a lifetime of Hail Marys to reverse the wickedness you brought upon this young girl's head today. I weep for your parents. May God have mercy on your soul.
Sister Sister shouted, adding one more bit of information at the end. Also, you're suspended. Kitti watched as the innocent little asshole denied any wrongdoing.
I didn't do anything!
Before lowering his head and walking to the principal's office. With Ethan suspended for a week, Kitti got to experience different class project partners, while also enjoying some much-needed quiet time. His scissors had never come close to her hair, but the actions before were still deserving of the punishment he faced. Ethan eventually returned as a newly reformed 9-year-old, gaslighting himself into believing he did cut Kitti's hair. I'm really sorry, it was an accident, he said to Kitti as she sternly accepted his apology.
It's fine, I guess.
For the next 5 years of Catholic school, Kitti and Ethan's rivalry lay dormant, eventually dissipating with time. By 8th grade, the two had found themselves in the same friend group, seeing the other's similarities, finally becoming friends. With the statute of limitations well past, Kitti decided to confess the truth to Ethan, opening up about the scissors incident and the false truth he went to believe for so long. The two had a good laugh about it, as Kitti no longer felt guilty, and Ethan was too scared of what else she was capable of. Their relationship faded over time, as Kitti would later move to another province. But she would never forget Ethan, for she wrote in her own words,
Ethan will always be a part of my life, as the catalyst that launched me into being a petty criminal.
Whether you're a parent or just a former child, remember that the scales of justice have no balance when held in the hands of a youngster. For when dealing with themes of race, familial separation, and faith, the heaviest weight they may hold is just a tiny clump of hair.
Wow. You did so good with that story.
Thank you. I really was feeling a lot of that, and I like the serious tones of it. It's something that I don't get to cover, but it's stuff that should be talked about.
Definitely. Thank you, Kitti, for even sharing us to even tell your story. As a couple weird white kids over here, obviously we've never had to endure the difficulties that she has. And especially as a child, how freaking difficult that must have been.
Yeah, a real culture shock, I'm sure.
Yes.
In a Catholic school, too. And thank you for that. I love playing in the sandbox of making fun of churchy things. I always love playing with that.
You did so good. Because I assume that all those crafts and stuff that you came up with, those were not true, right? Were they really making...
The 10 Commandments were not real.
Okay.
Them being paired together for the Eyes of a Child song, that was true. Mm-hmm. But I did make up the armpit farts and the licking cooties and stuff. I just know that he bullied her a lot. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just made it whatever I wanted to make it.
Mm-hmm. How funny that when they grew up a little bit, they actually became somewhat friends.
Yeah. I hate it when you have the adults say, you're going to get married someday. But it really is kind of true to a certain extent that some people who don't like each other usually do have a lot of things in common. Mm-hmm. Most heroes and their arch nemesis do have things in common.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I also wanted to just say that, Kitti, once I heard your story with all of the context that you gave about the divorce, about the race issues, about the Catholic school changes, in my opinion, you couldn't tell that story any other way.
Right.
It would be such a boring and not fun story if I would have just said, a bully kid at school played around about cutting her hair, so she went and pulled her own hair out and blamed it on a kid.
Yeah.
There was a lot more attention behind it, and I appreciate Kitti giving me that context because I can see there's a storyteller in you, Kitti, and the way that you gave that context.
Yes.
Because it really sparked a much more rich place for me to want to tell that story.
Yeah, it was very vulnerable of you to share all of that. I appreciate it so much. And also, I love the childlike essence of this crime and why it was committed. And I really can't fault Kitti. I really can't fault her for being enough is enough.
Yeah, even though you are the criminal, I can't fault you.
I cannot either. We both ended our stories, at least the first two. I thought about doing it with my other one, so that's really funny. But we both ended with a direct quote from the people themselves, which I love. And I just love everything about this story. The jokes, the drama, the rawness, the vulnerability, the revenge. It has it all.
We do love a good getting even story.
Yes, we do. And Ethan, if you're listening out there today, I hope that you can look back and realize that you were definitely in the wrong.
For sure. I do like that we did connect on using their quotes there. Maybe we would do a tagline to our title. Now that's what I call Listener Stories Volume 2 in their own words. How long can we make the title?
Yeah. Is there a limit? I don't know. But beautiful job, and thank you so much, Kitti. We love seeing you on social media. You're definitely one of our most memorable listeners. I know we both can immediately recognize your image and your name online, and it's really fun to see it. Is it time for my final story, Trevin?
Ooh, the final story of our triple feature with Double Amanda.
Wow. I can't even believe it. This was actually a pretty recent email that we received. And as soon as I saw it, I immediately messaged Trevin and was like,
Are you at all interested in this person's email? And you hadn't read it at all, right?
All I've read was the subject line, which I knew it was going to be a good one, but that's why I kind of wanted to leave it to you maybe and let you have a good one.
Yes, and I'm not going to share the subject line because that would give it away, but it was so good and so eye-catching for us.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a little portion of the email, again, that I'd like to read at the beginning. Dear Amanda and Trevin, I'm currently marathoning your show after finding you through Christine and M. Shout out, and that's why we drink.
Yeah, shout out. They just finished their tour and did that Netflix thing, which looked awesome. I would have loved to have been there. That would have been so cool.
Oh my God, yeah. Netflix is a joke or something like that was what
that
it was.
festival. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was so amazing. Shout out to all of the And That's Why We Drink listeners that have come over to hang with the petty criminals over here. We are loving you.
Yeah, we're so glad you came.
The email continues on. It's such a perfectly light, low stakes, high drama concept, and you two execute it so well. Thank you for the effort you put into it each week. I've left you a 5-star rating and review and have told friends. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. We need all the help we can get.
My God, you did the trifecta. Thank you. You're definitely in the dream podcast blunt rotation. Thanks again for keeping me from listening to things about murder literally all the time. Living, laughing, larcening. Sarah, she, her.
Keep larcening. And that actually feels so cool to hear somebody say that you're in their blunt rotation.
I know. I am honored beyond belief. And honest to goodness, I'm good with being in anybody's rotation.
That's true.
At any time of day. We've heard so many different ways that people listen to our show. Grocery shopping, at work, you know, whatever it is, we love it.
I can't remember who it was from, but we did get a message from somebody saying that they loved our 420 episode and said they were listening Buzz. So.
Oh, nice. I was hoping that somebody would. My goodness. Yeah. Well, without any more explaining, guys, here we go. It was sometime around late 2010 or early 2011 at an apartment near the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania when 4 hungover roommates begun to wake up. Oh, God. Sarah was one of the 4 female friends who lived together in the spacious 4-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. She was in her 2nd year of studying at the university, but still made plenty of time to live it up with friends. Who wants to butt chug? The girls' apartment being on the ground floor made it easily accessible to hosting big gatherings. Because of this, and the extra rooms, Sarah and her roommate's apartment became a regular party spot. The night before was the perfect example of one of their parties. Loud music, bottom shelf liquor, and lots of insecure, horny college kids looking for fun.
If I have one more Jello shot, you're seeing my butt.
The morning after felt like an all too familiar nightmare, filled with resurfacing memories and a side of nausea. Sarah wasn't the only roommate rising up from the dead, as she heard her roommate Amy shuffling down the hallway in her slippers. The 2 roommates grunted at one another to let the other know they were awake, while also conserving the most energy. Amy then shuffled into one of the bathrooms to take a shower. Sarah heard the shower turn on and continued listening as the running water created a continuous stream of soothing background noise. After a while, the shower was turned off, and Sarah expected to see Amy shuffling back down the hallway in her towel. Instead, from the bathroom came a bone-chilling scream that rattled throughout the entire apartment. Followed by Amy yelling, "Someone pooped on my towel!" Sarah and her 2 other roommates, Kristen and Mara, temporarily forgot about their hangovers as their protective instincts took over. All at once, they rushed into the bathroom that contained Amy's scream. The roommates collectively opened the bathroom door and took a peek inside. A naked and shivering Amy stood there, pointing over towards her once fluffy and pristine bath towel. The roommates slowly approached the tarnished towel, standing over it to get a better look. Sure enough, the soft fibers of Amy's towel contained remnants of human feces. A brown clump of doo-doo, followed by an elongated skid mark, was seen clearly by all of the girls, never to be unseen again. It was then and there they decided to work together to solve this foul crime. Amy was now dressed and gathered together with the rest of her roommates in their living room as Sarah began breaking down the situation.
Only one bathroom was hit, and only one towel. There was toilet paper available in both of our bathrooms last night. Are we sure this isn't a drunken prank fail from one of our friends?
The roommates began texting their friends about the turd in the towel, asking if they had anything to do with it. But all the messages they got back denied any involvement and were full of bad poop puns.
Ew, no way. Gross. Vomit emoji, turd emoji.
Maybe it was left by the poop fairy? Stinkerbell?
With no one from the outside fessing up, the girls knew it was up to them to solve things internally.
Do we have any known enemies who would want to defecate on our personal property?
Sarah asked her roommates. There was one guy at the party last night who complained about us not having any regular Budweisers, suggested Mara. He walked in, wearing tight denims, and muttered, "Where's the Bud Heavy in this house?" When I informed him we only had seltzers and vodka, his face turned callous, and his fists were clenched. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if he was the culprit.
Yeah, but he left shortly after he complained. He wasn't here long enough to expel even the smallest of toots,
retorted Amy.
Whoever did this clearly ate some of my 7-layer bean dip,
stated Kristen, now disgusted by her party recipe.
Did you guys see anyone lingering by the snack table last night? Or notice anybody chowing down on dip?
Sarah asked, with barely any hope. There was one girl at the party last night. She kept hoarding the bowls of chips all to herself. Mara piped up with another suggestion. It looked as though she had just gone through a recent breakup and was eating all of her feelings all at once. She was distant, with tears welling up in her eyes every time a slightly romantic song played through our kitchen speaker.
I'd bet anything she's the one we're looking for. Mara, you bitch! You're talking about me!
Squealed Amy, defensively. Ah, that's right. It was you. Never mind, Mara said, without an apology.
Come on, guys. Our suspect would have means, motive, and opportunity. There has to be someone that had all three before they took a number 2.
Sarah tried to rally and reorganize the troops.
That's it!
Shouted Mara. I think I know who decided to unloose their caboose onto your towel. The roommates leaned in as Mara gave her final theory on the fecal matter. There was one girl at the party last night. She was a friend of a friend's girlfriend who had been dragged out to one of our crowded parties. The entire night, she sat, sitting in the corner, looking quite unhappy. She never uttered a single word. Instead, she just filled it with 7-layer bean dip. The roommates let out a collective gasp with the discovery. But wait, there's more, Mara continued. Like I said, there she sat for most of the night. However, around 1 a.m., she was nowhere to be found, leaving her corner abandoned. Then, around 2 a.m., she resurfaced, sitting again in her lonely corner, the same scowl on her face. She left shortly after that, without a farewell. The roommates pondered on this theory as they played out any and all scenarios, but after some further digging and reflecting, they knew the grumpy gal in the corner had to be their squatting suspect. Fortunately for all, the girls never saw the doo-doo drifter again after that stinky night. Yet, the memory lives on for the roommates, and now for all of you listening. To any party hosts out there, stay safe and be aware, because you never know what type of stinky surprises you may uncover once the celebration ends.
Damn.
Before we talk about this, I made up the other suspects. I made up the names of the roommates, and the 7-layer bean dip thing was an addition, okay?
That was a fun one, though.
But everything else is true. I don't know the name of the woman they suspected that wiped their butt with a towel at their house party, but
That was the description I was given, is that it was a friend of a friend. She was lurking around all night in the corner looking grumpy. She did disappear for an extended amount of time before they saw her again. After talking with their friends, after talking amongst themselves, after ruling everyone out, that is the only person they could all come to agreement on that it probably was.
Damn, a real usual suspect situation.
Yes.
And there was toilet paper available.
Toilet paper was available. I didn't even have to ask that as a follow-up question that was given. They wanted to make that very clear, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, that's an important thing to know.
Like, if you didn't have toilet paper in your bathroom, would it still be nasty? Yeah, but what else were they supposed to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They still technically don't really know who it was. That's just the main guess. But I had a really fun time coming up with the roommates, the story, the way that they all work together to become detectives. In the actual email from Sarah, it said, and so our Knives Out mystery began, you know?
Oh, okay.
So she was very much into, like, it was a mystery. She didn't tell me any other suspects. I just wanted to create them, though, to build on that. But yeah, I mean, what a ridiculous thing to do at a party.
It is a ridiculous thing, but I mean, if you felt that you had a poop in you that needed a towel, I'd be having a sad face at a party too. I'd be regretting being at that party. I probably wouldn't be at the party.
Exactly. This story actually reminded me a ton of my personal story about having a work meeting called at my old job and having somebody wiping their butt with a paper towel and just putting it in the trash can instead of flushing it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like even more offensive.
Oh, yeah.
A towel, and it wasn't thrown away. It was like her towel just laying there.
And you're not doing it to a
discovered.
business?
Yeah, it's somebody's house.
Ooh. Your story reminded me, and I know you're not a big fan of It's Always Sunny.
It's not that I'm not a big fan. It's just not my exact type of humor.
I
But
really
yeah.
think you should watch the episode. It's called Who Pooped the Bed?
Oh,
I believe is what it's
God.
called. And Charlie and Frank are arguing about who pooped the bed because they woke up and there was a turd in their bed.
Oh my God.
And so they have Artemis who comes in and almost reads it in a very dramatic looking back kind of way. There's one point where she points at Frank and she says, "That's a rather large turd. Tall order for a short man." So you were kind of making me think of Artemis when she did that episode.
Oh, that's funny as hell. I've never seen that episode, but that is perfectly
It's a doo-doo
connected.
mystery.
Yes, that is perfect for this story. I love that it was such a nasty little crime done in a apartment filled with, I'm sure, amazing, lovely women.
Yeah, I mean, it's a heinous crime.
It really is. It took my experience with somebody having a poop crime to another level in their home, at their party, on a towel.
Whew. So 1 out of our 3 were actual legit crimes.
Oh my God, that's so true.
2 were crimes against humanity. I'm not downplaying anything, but just as far as arrests, I would think that the person who destroyed that stuff, if they weren't arrested, were at least like summoned for some sort of punishment. They're probably booked for something.
Yeah,
right?
they were fired. I have no idea if they got the law involved at all or if they were just like, you're fired. I mean, you would think that they would. It's a Kroger store. They're like a corporation, you know? They're going to want to protect their equipment. They had to have been.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they got insurance, but I also feel like they probably have policy where it's like, yeah, we're going to press charges when you do that.
Yes. I would not expect anything less. And I guess, I mean, technically, I know it's not a legal matter, but your kid did get suspended, which is honestly the closest thing I think a young kid can get that isn't jail time.
Yeah, I mean, he was sent away pretty quick.
I mean, when I knew of a kid that was suspended at that age, it was a big deal. You were a real bad kid to get suspended.
Yeah, there was always the ISS kids, but then the OSS.
Yup. Out of school suspension. You're out of here, Buster.
Bad boy.
But what else did we connect on? Like I said, we did include some of our listeners' exact quotes on a couple of them. I guess technically we could say all of the crimes are messy, yours being the least messy of all. But I mean, it did involve kids in art class. That has to be messy. Plus, just like the hair, you know. But that's not really like a great, beautiful bow tie-in necessarily.
There was at least a way that I know I connected my story to the third one, and I can't remember what it is now.
That's a tough one, but I know I can at least say from my end, and I'm sure yours as well, the writing was so good and the stories were so good that they were all very easy to make our own and to make it part of our show.
Yeah, they're all stood very well on their own. You can't really group them all together because they're all just doing their own thing and telling their own different stories.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to put one final connection on there, but they were all great. And honestly, guys, we are loving stories from our listeners. If you heard anything that you were like, oh, I didn't even think about a petty crime against humanity. Of course, we've all experienced something like that. Then please write in. We would love to get more of these and do these and have a volume 3 and a volume 4 and on and on.
Or if you think of connections we can't think of, share the episodes, your story, and tag us and tell us what the connection should have been.
Yes, we love that as well. So I hope everyone out there is just having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to eat a cursed salad.
Bye.
See ya.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Just kidding. We definitely do not. But thanks for listening to our show.
And if you follow any of those pages that do the crazy selfies that make me feel uncomfortable, you should probably be following our show too. What are you doing? Follow our show on social medias at Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or Threads.
And do you want to be featured on one of Live Laugh Larceny's podcast episodes? Then send us your petty crime story, livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And I know Amanda's serving 1-star Jello shots, but give our show the opposite. Let's give the show 5 stars wherever you rate podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods.
The entire night she sat, sitting in the corny. In the corny?
Sitting in the corny.
Sitting in the corny. Oh my God. I can't.